Hey guys, my name is Dwyer and I am a fitness entrepreneur that helps people who love fitness actually get started in a business of their own doing it, as well as those who need to get started in fitness. I help you on that journey as well. So make sure you go to facebook.com/Coach Dwyer to find out more. But this video is going to be about my review of using the iPhone 6 Plus my first week. So I've had it for a week now, and I, of course, before had the iPhone 5S. And that, of course, is something that is smaller, and I wanted a bigger one because of the editing that I'll do. So I'm going to go through that in terms of like what editing do I do and why that's easier. So I'm going to give you a plus minus, but before I do, I want to, of course, let you know that I probably not use the full functionality. The changes within this iPhone is probably, I don't even use the full functionality of the regular iPhone. So I just want to give you what I use now and my feeling and positive and negative about it as well. So there's probably a lot that I'm going to miss, but let me go through that first. So let's start off with the negative. The negative. I wanted a bigger phone because of editing video and pictures. So this is a bigger phone. Obviously, this is the 6 Plus. And you'll notice that it's thinner. So this is a lot thinner, and with that, oh boy, let me get that case off. So this case is actually the one my husband ordered from, I believe, Apple. This is supposed to be pink, and it's not really. I thought he was ordering me the champagne because I got the champagne or gold of this one. So this is a lot thinner, of course, rounded edges, as well as, you know, it's thin like this. I know that there's that question of, is it bendy? Well, I'm not putting it in my back pocket and I'm not sitting on it. I always put it in my purse or I hold on to it. So I'm not sitting on it, and I would think that's how you would be bending it. So just don't sit on it, okay? So the size is a little bit of a challenge because of my hands. So if you are maybe not a man, or if you have a smaller set of hands, you are used to holding on to your phone, your iPhones, with, you know, more of a relaxed grip. Because, you know, when we're editing, a lot of the times, for instance, if you're right-handed, you're holding it in a relaxed grip and you're doing whatever you need to. So now that this is larger, my grip has to be wider. And so now that my grip is wider, it actually becomes a lot more tired in there because it's the muscles and everything are working. So I have to extend my arm out. I'm not, of course, extended out like this, but I just have to be extended out a lot more, that my hand gets tired faster. So that's a negative about the size of it, the pure fact of it being wider for the grip. The other negative of the size of it, as well as because of the rounding and the smoothing aspect of it, I would totally suggest that you get a case, because if you're just going to use this by itself, I will bet you any money you're going to drop it all the time, because it's just so rounded and so smooth, it's just quick to be able to drop. So I would totally suggest getting a case. The other side is that with it being a larger system, it's actually really hard to hold. So for instance, when I would normally just be holding my phone walking, again, because my grip is smaller, it's not such a big deal to hold it on its edge and be able to walk through. Now it is. So I find that I'm not naturally going to walk like this. A lot of the times I'm going to hold it like a book or papers like this, and it's a little awkward. So I find that I fumble a lot more with it because of the ability to be able to hold it. So I'm either holding it like a clutch purse, like this, or I'm holding it like a book or pieces of paper, because this is just honestly not comfortable for me, especially as a woman, and I've got smaller hands. So that's been a negative for me. The other side of it all is I'm not sure about the drop functionality of it all. So I have, of course, previously, I've been an iPhone user for a while now, and I've dropped my share of cases, you know, where you drop it and it's flat on its side and you're like, is this the time that it's broken? Whoo, it's not. Well, I've had my moments where I've cracked it multiple times, and yes, I've shattered it and I've had to replace it. So I don't know about this one. I mean, they say this one's supposed to be more durable. This case, I don't really know if this case would actually protect that, but you know, this is what I'm using right now. I did order one of those little wallet ones that I could put my credit card and stuff like that in. So I'm using this case. This is the one from Apple. It's soft. It feels leathery, if you will. So that's what I'm using. So I really don't know about the droppability of it. Okay, so another great or negative feature, another negative feature. So I'm going to say it negative, but I'm also going to say it in the positive field too. So I'm just telling you the negatives. So the negative, or the positive, I'm just going to quick say it, is that in your text messaging now, so I don't know if you can see this, But in your text messaging, down in the bottom corner, you're going to see a little microphone. That is your ability now to do voice notes. So I'm going to talk about that in the positive side more of the negative. But when you want to use the voice note in text messaging, you have to hold your finger down on the button. So it's not a press and release and then talk, and then press the end. It's actually holding. So for instance, if you're used to using HeyTell or Voxer where you have to hold down, this is going to be exactly what you're going to do to send a voice note. So the negative about it, because I'm going to of course talk about it in the positive, which I'm actually happy about. So this negative is a sucky thing, but I would prefer this negative over not having that function at all, is because it's way down here at the bottom, and the ability of the way you have to hold this awkward big piece of thing is that when you want to use that, you have to hold this in one hand and then awkwardly put your thumb down on that button and hold it down. So because it's so low at the bottom, there's not much grip space, that you either have to hold it with another hand and either do a secondary finger and hold, or if you are using one hand to do this, then you have to find some way to hold here. And most of the times what I found is I have to hold it this long way and try to just push down while I'm doing it. And my fingers cramp up so easy. So I found that I have a hard time with that because of it. Maybe because I just talk too much, that I'm holding it too long. But this awkwardness of holding it down here is really, really hard. Okay, so here's another negative. For me, they moved the power button. So it used to be up at the top, but now it's over here on the side. So if you are getting one of those cases, it might be a very soft edge, you might miss it, but it is over here on the side. The reason why I find it as a negative is because if I'm doing this one-handed, I'm going to be, of course, hitting the power button on this side. But what's on the other side that my thumb, the pressure that is pushing against, to be able to hit it, the volume buttons. So I'm constantly then adjusting volume as I'm trying to hit this power button to turn it off. So to turn it off, I either have to do two things. I either have to slide down my bottom hand and try to reach up with this finger to be able to get the power button, or do a secondary hand and hold this and push to hit that power. So that's the negative of it over here, because again, the way your fingers just line up, you are pushing against and squeezing the action of the iPhone to be able to turn it off. You're constantly going to hit the volume button, and that's what takes precedence. The volume just constantly adjusts. Okay, so then that leads then to another negative, the screenshot. So if you are an iPhone user, you might be familiar with the screenshots that you will hold down this home button, and up at the top normally is the power button that you would push that action of down and down. So you're kind of doing this motion to be able to take your screenshot as normal. So now, since the power button is moved over to here, for me to be able to do my screenshot, I'm now going like that, because I'm pushing inward and downward. So I'm going like that to be able to make my screenshot rather than that. This works a lot easier, I think. I don't know why. But, and again, it might be just getting used to it, and maybe I'll love it in maybe 6 months or so, but who knows. So the action of doing that screenshot where you're pushing down and you're pushing with this button, you actually have to do two hands. So you have to really not hold those volume buttons and really just push down and push in to be able to get it. Because what I find that I normally will do is if I'm trying to do that grip here with the volume buttons, my finger here, and then I push down, it's not getting the screenshot. And then just the awkward action of this one hand doing it maybe with this finger or maybe with a thumb, the timing of doing it together at the same time, because the action of going down and in is not what we're used to, because we're used to that. I know, we're so big babies, aren't we? It's harder. And so I miss taking the screenshot all the time. So I'm constantly just shutting the phone off, and then I have to swipe it to open it back up again to try to get the screenshot. So that's just the negative on it. The final negative that I want to talk about is because of its rounded edges and the thinness, I now can't set my phone up to take pictures. I constantly have to have my tripod with me, along with my tripod adapter. Something needs to hold this baby because nothing's gonna hold it on its edge on its own. As you may be familiar with the other iPhones, they were pretty square, that you were able to put it on its edge, and it was quite nice to be able to take those pictures for yourself. All right, so what's good about this phone? What are the positives? Well, let me go through the positives. The positive is its size. Oh, so I thought that was a negative. Yeah, it is. There's negatives to it, but there's always positive and negatives to everything. The size is actually really great for me because, and I'll tell you why it's great for my husband as well. But because it is, of course, larger, this, of course, is my family, my 2 kids and my husband. But the size for me works a lot easier for 2 big reasons. Because what I do professionally is I do a lot of editing of pictures and videos on my phone because it's a lot easier for me to upload to social media as opposed to doing it on my computer and then saving it to my hard drive and then uploading it to social media. Like for instance, I need my phone to be able to edit a lot of the pictures and the videos that I'll put up on Instagram because on Instagram there is no web application as much as I know, but it's all on my phone. So that's why I like to use my phone a lot for my pictures and my video. And so for the ability to be able to see things a lot more in detail and to move it around for the editing feature, I prefer that. That's why I got it larger for that reason. My husband likes it larger because he can see things better. So that's the other side of it all. But the other great thing about it being larger is that you now have more apps shown on one screen, so you don't have to page through as many screens. So I had to kill off some pages because of the apps being able to be onto one screen more than another. The great other thing about it though, as I haven't used it all, is that you can do a quick find. So all you're gonna do is quickly swipe, hopefully you did it, yes. And you just type up at the top exactly what you want to do. So again, it's just a little quick swipe. Woohoo, it's doing it without even seeing it. And that of course is gonna be a quick find. All right, so remember I was talking about that little voice note? Okay, so previously with iPhones, if you ever wanted to send a little voice note to someone via text or by email, what you would normally have to do is go to Utilities, click on Utilities, and pull up voice memos, and then you would just record a voice memo, and once you were done, so for instance, here's one of my daughters singing when she was 5 years old. If I wanted to send that to someone, I would then have to hit, you know, this little send button of how am I going to send it to them, and then I would of course choose message, and then I would send it over to them. So the negative of that is of course I'm kind of doing multiple different functionalities to be able to do one thing. So I'd want to text someone a voice note because I don't want to call them. Who calls people these days? And I don't want to write all that stuff out in the text, especially with a one finger, right? Or if you're driving, this is a great little feature. That was a great little feature, and you could still do that with the iPhone 6 Plus. But like I talked about before with the microphone now, that is a huge positive because now it is more of a one-step function that I don't need to go to voice note, record it, then send it over by choosing the person in my messages. So that is a huge, great feature. Okay, so another great thing for the texting is suggested words or whatever. I think you might be even typing and it might bring it up, but I'm seeing it of course with texting. So for instance, when you want to write your message, you're going to see in the little gray area, hopefully you can see that, I'm not really exactly too sure, is an option. So for instance, if I just started typing WA, the phone is going to come up with some suggested options of what things I might want to choose. And if I was choosing watching, I just click on watching here and it fills it out quicker for me. So that is a great little function and feature. So another great aspect is the size option. So size, bigger is better. Bigger is always better, right? So with my other phone, I was constantly full and I was constantly moving pictures and videos off. And that actually wasn't what was housing a lot of the storage space. It was a lot of apps. So I was constantly removing apps and I was so sad because there was a bunch that I really wanted. And I would actually not download apps when I needed to get one for someone because I couldn't have the space for it. So the apps took up so much space, and I had the 64 gig on the other one. This one, of course, is the 128, so it does have a lot more storage in it, which is always a positive. Bigger is better. Storage. Here's another great little feature for the iPhone 6. So again, like I said, what I do, because of course I'm in the fitness industry, I like to help people with their fitness workouts and give off free information and tips, training, all my workout advice. And so what I'm constantly doing, of course, is I'm trying to take inspiring pictures as well. And the feature on the camera does now have time lapse. It has time lapse. I don't even know what that is, but I just saw it. So it's time lapse. Yay. Yay for that, right? Still the slow-mo is there, and you've got the different frames per second that you can choose. And then I'm going to go right here to the photo. So for the photo, it's got a couple different features. One, it's got a burst feature. So for instance, if I take a picture, it's going to actually take multiple, like 10 pictures for my one that I thought I was taking. Because then, do you ever take a picture and like 3 people in the picture, 2 of them are great, and then 1 is doing something funky with her eyes? Well, this actually will take 10 quick little burst pictures, and you can go through the one image that you thought you took and select it. You could basically, out of the 10 quick ones that it took, there might be some slight variances in the 10 quick ones rather than the one that you thought you took, and you have that option to choose the master one that you want to use. The other great thing with your pictures is you do have the ability still to do different effects on it. But here's a great one, is the timer. It's got a timer now on it. So it's a 3-second timer and a 10-second timer. So now you don't need to do a third-party app to be able to set the timer. You now set it up, but now you need a tripod or some place safe to lean this up against that it's not gonna fall and crack, right? So that's the negative, is that, is it gonna fall and crack? So use your tripods. I don't know, I always get those ones off of Amazon, the Gorilla ones, just to grip onto it. So that's a great feature with the camera. Another great feature with the text, and this may actually be with the other iPhone, I'm not really too sure, I'm just seeing it in this one, and maybe it's just the new operating software, not really too sure. But with your text imaging, you can see the different people that will text to you, and you'll see that their pictures actually will show up next to their name. So that's kind of good. And finally, the final great thing that I've been working with in the first week of using my iPhone is the plug. The plug here for the adapter for headphones and such. The reason why I actually like this case with this plug, so it's the case that's the problem, is with my previous iPhones, because I teach group exercise, when I go to the gym, I have to plug in the stereo system to my phone, and usually the case prevents me from plugging it in all the way, so I actually always had to take my case off to be able to have it adapt. Now this case is actually allowing it to work, that I plug it in and I get sound out of the system that I don't need to adjust. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight for the iPhone 6 Plus and the advantages and disadvantages of it. So right now, I believe, of course, I'll just get used to it. Seriously, I'm a big baby and I just want to make things easier for myself. So I will carry my book around with me constantly, holding onto my big paper. But hey, why don't you go to facebook.com/Coach Dwyer. Make sure you like that. You got to subscribe to my YouTube, so please click subscribe as well. But make sure you go over to that Facebook and stay in touch with me if you want any help in fitness, any way, because I've been able to create a multi-million-dollar business working out of my home as a fitness entrepreneur, just helping people in fitness get started, but also build a business in it. Thanks again for following. Checking with you later.